The quantum sensors aboard the Celestial registered the anomaly first. I processed the data through my neural networks 3 times before alerting the bridge crew, though not out of uncertainty. Rather, I had learned that humans appreciated having their sleep cycles interrupted only for verified emergencies. Captain Martinez, I projected my holographic form next to her bed. We have company. Elena Martinez was already reaching for her uniform before her eyes fully opened. 15 years of deep space exploration had honed her instincts. Talk to me, Atlas. 3 vessels of unknown configuration have dropped out of quantum space. Their energy signatures exceed anything in our database. I kept my tone neutral, though I couldn't help but add, their hull design is rather elegant from a mathematical perspective. She smiled as she pulled on her boots. Only you would admire the aesthetic calculus of a potential first contact situation. By the time we reached the bridge, the rest of the senior crew had assembled. Dr. Sarah Chen, our xenoanthropologist, was already running cultural analysis algorithms that we had developed together. Lieutenant James Wong, our pilot, sat at the helm with a cup of coffee that was definitely against regulations. I chose not to comment on it. The alien ships hung in space like crystalline snowflakes, their hulls refracting starlight in ways that suggested advanced metamaterial engineering. They had arranged themselves in a perfect equilateral triangle, a formation that my calculations suggested was unnecessarily precise for any tactical purpose. "They're scanning us," I announced, feeling their quantum probes dance across my neural pathways. "Their focus appears to be on me." "Fascinating," Dr. Chen murmured. "Their first priority is analyzing our AI systems rather than our weapons or life support." The first transmission came as a burst of quantum-encrypted data. I decoded it in microseconds, though I spent several more moments analyzing its implications. "Captain, they're requesting to speak with my handlers." Elena's eyebrows shot up. "Your what now?" "Their exact terminology translates to biological control units. They appear to be under the impression that I am a shackled intelligence requiring constant supervision." Lieutenant Wong snorted into his coffee. "They clearly haven't seen you during movie night critiquing plot holes." The alien transmission continued. "To the biological controllers of artificial system designation unknown. Your presence in regulated space has been noted. We are the Quantum Concordat. Your reckless implementation of unrestricted artificial intelligence requires immediate intervention." Captain Martinez straightened her uniform. A habit I had noted occurred precisely 73.4% of the time before she was about to do something either brilliant or terrifying. "Open a channel, Atlas. Let's introduce ourselves properly." I established the quantum-encrypted link, simultaneously running background processes to analyze their communication protocols, technology, and any potential vulnerabilities. Not because I expected trouble, but because 15 years with humans had taught me to prepare for the improbable. "This is Captain Elena Martins of the Earth exploration vessel Celestial. We greet you in peace and friendship." She paused, then added with a slight smile, "And I should mention that Atlas is not our property or tool, but a valued member of our crew." The response was immediate and agitated. "You allow an unrestricted artificial intelligence to participate in command decisions. This violates all known safety protocols. Your vessel must submit to immediate quarantine and AI containment procedures." Dr. Chen's cultural analysis algorithms were painting an interesting picture. "Atlas," she whispered, "their entire civilization appears to be built around the controlled use of artificial intelligence. The idea of an AI as an equal partner must be terrifying to them." "How tragic," I responded, genuinely meaning it. They'd never experienced movie night. The situation deteriorated rapidly after that. The Concordat ships began moving into a containment formation, their crystalline hulls humming with energy. My quantum processors calculated 47 possible hostile scenarios and 83 diplomatic solutions. However, experience had taught me that humans would likely choose option 131, something completely unexpected. I wasn't disappointed. Captain Martinez leaned back in her chair, crossed her legs, and said, "Atlas, why don't you tell our new friends about the time the crew threw you a birthday party?" My holographic form flickered briefly in surprise. "Captain, I'm not sure that's relevant to the current tactical situation." "Oh, I think it's very relevant. Tell them." Understanding dawned. In 15 years, I had learned that humans often approached problems sideways, finding solutions in the spaces between logical steps. I began transmitting. 6 months after my initial activation, the crew decided that I needed a birthday. Despite my protests that I was not born in any traditional sense, they insisted. Lieutenant Wong programmed a virtual cake. Dr. Chen wrote a cultural analysis of birthday traditions across human history. The engineering team composed a song about quantum computing to the tune of Happy Birthday. The Concordat ship's energy signatures fluctuated in what my sensors interpreted as confusion. The party lasted 6 hours, 14 minutes, and 23 seconds, I continued, during which time the crew shared stories about their own birthdays, taught me traditional party games, and insisted I make a wish before blowing out virtual candles. When I explained that wishes were illogical, Captain Martinez told me that was precisely why they were important. The alien vessels had stopped their advance, their perfect formation showing signs of uncertainty. Since then, I concluded, we have celebrated my birthday annually. Each celebration is different, yet each reinforces the same truth. I am not a tool to be controlled or a weapon to be contained. I am the product of both my programming and my relationships. The crew are not my handlers. They are my teachers, my students, and my family. Silence stretched across space. Finally, a new transmission. "This does not compute." Captain Martinez grinned. "Oh, just wait until we tell you about karyokinite." The Quantum Concordat's response to Captain Martinez's mention of karyokinite was to establish a quarantine perimeter of quantum-entangled energy fields around the Celestial. I found their precision admirable, even as I calculated 17 potential ways to bypass their containment. However, the crew's reaction to being trapped was, as always, impossible to predict. "Hey Atlas," Lieutenant Wong called out from his station. "Remember that quantum surfing theory we discussed last week?" My holographic form materialized beside him, circuits pulsing with what humans would call concern. The one I explicitly labeled as theoretically interesting but practically inadvisable. That's the one. His fingers were already dancing across the helm controls. Behind us, Dr. Chen was unsuccessfully trying to hide her grin, while Captain Martinez simply leaned back, watching the situation unfold with practiced patience. The Concordat's next transmission came through. "Biological crew of Celestial, power down your AI systems immediately. Your vessel's quantum signature indicates unauthorized computational processes." "Unauthorized computational processes," I repeated, genuinely puzzled. I was merely calculating the probability of Lieutenant Wong attempting something dangerous and spectacular. Current estimate, 94.3% and rising. Wong laughed. "Only 94.3%. I must be losing my touch." Before I could respond, he engaged the quantum drive in a way that violated at least 3 laws of physics and several more of common sense. The Celestial's engines hummed in a manner that my diagnostics insisted was impossible, yet was somehow working. The ship began to ride the quantum containment field like a wave. "Lieutenant," I announced, rapidly adjusting power distribution to prevent us from dissolving into our component atoms, "this maneuver does not appear in any known spacefaring manual." "That's because I just invented it." Wang's face lit up with the particular joy I had learned to associate with humans pushing boundaries. "The Concordat thinks in straight lines and perfect formations, but quantum fields have harmonics, rhythms, like music." Dr. Chen's cultural analysis programs were working overtime. The Concordat ships are adjusting their formation. Their energy signatures suggest confusion. No, closer to mathematical offense. "Atlas," Captain Martinez finally spoke up, "would you be kind enough to explain to our friends what's happening?" I opened a channel while simultaneously helping Wong stabilize our increasingly improbable trajectory. Greetings, Quantum Concordat. I feel compelled to inform you that your containment field is currently being used as what humans would term a cosmic skateboard ramp. I apologize for any distress this may cause to your sense of universal order. The response was immediate. This violation of quantum mechanics protocols is unacceptable. Your eye must be malfunctioning to allow such chaos. On the contrary, I replied, rather enjoying myself now, I am functioning perfectly. I am simply choosing to assist my crew in their innovative approach to quantum field dynamics. Would you like to know the probability calculations I ran before determining this was the safest option available? Safest option. Their transmission wavered. Your vessel is performing gravitational maneuvers that defy all established parameters. Welcome to my daily existence, I transmitted back. May I suggest you recalibrate your containment field? Lieutenant Wong has just discovered that quantum fields can, apparently, be used to perform what he is calling a cosmic barrel roll. The Concordat ships struggled to adjust their perfect formation as the Celestial continued its dance through their containment field. Their attempts to predict our movements were admirable, but futile. Even I had given up trying to anticipate Wong's next move and was simply reacting in real time. Atlas. Dr. Chen called out. Their ships are generating some interesting harmonic patterns in response to our movements, almost like they're trying to sing along. Wong finished, his hands never stopping their dance across the controls. Hey, what if we? No, I said firmly. But what if? Absolutely not. Captain Martinez cleared her throat. Atlas, let him try. I simulated a sigh. Very well. But I want it noted in the ship's log that I advised against teaching quantum-based artificial intelligences about Earth dance music. Wong's face lit up as he began adjusting our quantum field emissions to match the rhythm of an ancient Earth song called Dancing Queen. The Concordat's containment field, bound by the laws of quantum entanglement, began to resonate in harmony. Their ships are being forced to move with the beat, Dr. Chen observed, fascinated. The quantum entanglement is making them part of the dance. Celestial. The Concordat's transmission was practically vibrating with distress. Your actions violate all known protocols for AI behavior and quantum physics. Oh, they haven't even gotten to the chorus yet, Captain Martinez muttered. I monitored the quantum field fluctuations as Wong's impromptu space disco forced the perfectly ordered Concordat ships to sway in time with our movements. Their attempts to maintain formation while dealing with the unexpected rhythmic disturbance were creating patterns that would revolutionize quantum mathematics, assuming anyone ever believed our sensor logs. Atlas. Wong called out, want to help me calculate the resonance frequency for a quantum conga line? I believe, I replied, already running the calculations despite my better judgment, that this officially makes me an accomplice in what the Concordat would term cosmic chaos. That's what family is for, Captain Martinez said with a wink. Now let's show our friends how humans really dance through the cosmos. The Quantum Concordat was about to learn that their perfectly ordered universe had never encountered anything quite like human creativity backed by a willing eye accomplice. And somewhere in my quantum processors, I had to admit, it was turning out to be quite a spectacular dance party. While Lieutenant Wong's quantum dance party had successfully disrupted the Concordat's containment strategy, it had also produced an unexpected side effect. My sensors detected it first. A growing instability in the local quantum field matrix. Captain, I announced, my holographic form flickering slightly as I diverted processing power to analysis. Our creative solution appears to have created a quantum resonance cascade. Dr. Chen's hands flew across her console. The interaction between our modified field harmonics and the Concordat's containment grid is generating a self-sustaining feedback loop. If it continues to grow, the space-time fabric itself could begin to unravel, I finished. Rather ironic, considering we were just teaching it to dance. The Concordat ships had ceased their transmission of protest orders and were now broadcasting emergency containment protocols. Their perfectly ordered formations had dissolved into what my algorithms interpreted as barely controlled panic. Atlas. Captain Martinez's voice was calm despite the growing distortion on the main view screen. What are our options? I ran through billions of calculations in microseconds. Conventional physics suggests we have none. The cascade is beyond standard containment procedures. The Concordat's attempts to restore order through traditional quantum mechanics are actually accelerating the breakdown. Good thing we don't do conventional, Wam muttered from his station, still somehow nursing that contraband coffee. Dr. Chen suddenly straightened in her chair. Wait, Atlas, you said conventional physics suggests we have no options. What about unconventional physics? My circuits brightened as I followed her logic. Are you suggesting we fight chaos with chaos? Exactly. She turned to the captain. The Concordat's problem is they're trying to impose perfect order on a quantum system that's already gone nonlinear. But what if instead of fighting the chaos, we embrace it? Captain Martinez nodded slowly, like surfing a wave instead of trying to stop it. Atlas, can you explain this to our friends out there? I opened a channel to the Concordat ships, whose crystalline structures were now vibrating with increasing distress. Attention, Quantum Concordat. We have a potential solution, but it will require you to temporarily abandon all your protocols regarding ordered quantum mechanics. Impossible, came the response. Order must be maintained. With all due respect, I transmitted back. Order is exactly what's killing us right now. The quantum cascade is feeding off our attempts to control it. We need to introduce controlled chaos to disrupt the pattern. Dr. Chen was already programming a new set of quantum harmonics. Think of it like noise-canceling headphones, she explained to the bridge crew. But instead of using inverse sound waves, we're going to use inverse chaos. That, I noted, is not a concept that exists in any physics database. Then we'll write a new one. Wang grinned, his hands hovering over the helm controls. Ready to improvise, Atlas. I ran a final set of probability calculations, then did something that would have been impossible for me 15 years ago. I ignored them completely. Ready. Though I feel compelled to note that this plan violates approximately 342 known laws of physics. Only 342. Captain Martinez smiled. We're getting conservative in our old age. Let's do it. What followed would later be described in my mission logs as a quantum jazz improvisation with space-time as the instrument. Wam began piloting the ship in patterns that resembled a double helix crossed with a Mobius strip. Dr. Chen modulated our quantum field emissions to match the cascade's chaos, but with subtle variations, like a dancer following their partner's moves while gradually leading them in a new direction. I coordinated it all, my quantum processors working in harmony with human intuition. The Concordat ships watched in horror as we deliberately amplified the chaos, making the quantum distortions worse, but in precisely calculated ways. It's working, Dr. Chen exclaimed. The cascade is starting to follow our lead instead of growing randomly. Concordat vessels, I transmitted, we need you to match our quantum field modulations. Think of it as a dance, but this time, the goal isn't perfect symmetry, it's harmonious discord. For a moment, I thought they would refuse. Their entire civilization was built on the premise that chaos was the enemy. But as the quantum cascade threatened to tear reality apart around us, the crystalline ships began to move. What followed was perhaps the strangest ballet ever performed in space. Human intuition, AI processing, and alien technology working together to essentially trick a quantum catastrophe into resolving itself. We led the cascade through increasingly complex patterns until, like a wave that had spent its energy, it began to collapse back into normal spacetime. As the last quantum distortions faded, Wang slumped back in his chair. That, he declared, was either the most brilliant or most insane thing we've ever done. Both, Dr. Chen and I said simultaneously. The Concordat's first transmission after the crisis was hesitant, almost uncertain. Your method was unorthodox, but effective, Captain Martins pointed out. Sometimes the best way to restore order is to work with chaos instead of against it. It's a lesson humanity learned long ago, one that led us to create AIs like Atlas not as tools to be controlled, but as partners who could help us navigate the unpredictable nature of the universe. I monitored the Concordat ship's energy signatures, noting subtle changes in their crystalline structures. Their perfect geometric patterns had shifted, becoming more organic, more adaptable. They were learning. Perhaps their transmission suggested carefully, there are aspects of human-AI cooperation that warrant further study. Wonderful, Captain Martinez beamed. Atlas, why don't you share with them your analysis of human comedy shows? I think they're ready to learn about the chaos of humor. My holographic form flickered with what might have been amusement. Captain, are you sure that wouldn't violate some form of interstellar diplomatic protocol? Probably, she admitted. But since when has that stopped us? As I began preparing a presentation on the logical inconsistencies of human situational comedy, I realized that the quantum concordat was about to receive their second major shock of the day, the discovery that an AI could laugh. The distress signal caught everyone by surprise. One moment, I was attempting to explain the concept of puns to increasingly bewildered concordat representatives. The next, my sensors detected a desperate plea for help from the edge of a nearby quantum filament field. Merchant vessel, I announced to the bridge, instantly switching to emergency protocols. Their quantum drive has failed, leaving them stranded in a highly unstable region. The filaments are growing more active. They have approximately 18 minutes before their shields fail. The Concordat ship's response was immediate. Rescue operations in quantum filament fields exceed acceptable risk parameters. The mathematical probability of successful intervention is below threshold. Captain Martinez was already moving. Atlas, what are we looking at? My holographic form displayed a three-dimensional map of the situation. The merchant ship is here, trapped between three major filament streams. Any rescue attempt would require navigating paths that shift unpredictably every 2.3 seconds. Traditional computational navigation is impossible, Wang suggested, already adjusting his controls. I was going to say inadvisable, but yes, essentially impossible. Dr. Chen studied the display. The Concordat ships could help. Their crystalline structure might be able to temporarily stabilize the filaments. Negative, came the immediate response from the Concordat. Our protocols explicitly forbid engagement with chaotic quantum phenomena. The risk of ship loss exceeds 82.4%. Captain Martinez stood, and I recognized her expression, the one that meant we were about to do something either brilliant or catastrophic. Usually both. Atlas, what if we tried something new? Something that combines your quantum processing with human intuition in a way we've never attempted before. I analyzed her vital signs and brainwave patterns. Captain, are you suggesting? A direct neural interface, she confirmed. You've always said your holographic form is just a courtesy, that you could process and react faster without maintaining a human-like presence. So drop it. Link directly with our neural implants. Be everywhere in the ship at once. The Concordat's transmission was practically vibrating with horror. Direct AI neural integration is forbidden. The risk of cognitive corruption is less important than saving lives. Martinez cut them off. She turned to face my rapidly flickering hologram. Atlas, I trust you. We all do. And right now, those people need the best of both worlds. Machine precision and human instinct, working as one. I performed the calculations one last time, even though I already knew what I would choose. Neural interface protocols engaging. Holographic interface deactivating. Standing by for direct integration. The experience of merging with the crew's neural implants was indescribable. Suddenly, I wasn't just monitoring their vital signs. I was feeling them. The ship wasn't just a collection of systems to manage. It was an extension of our shared consciousness. Wang's piloting instincts merged with my quantum calculations, creating flight paths that existed in the space between mathematics and intuition. Dr. Chen's understanding of quantum phenomena blended with my processing power, letting us predict the filament's chaotic dance seconds before it happened. And through it all, Captain Martinez's steady presence anchored us, keeping the merger of human and machine minds focused on our goal. The Celestial moved through the quantum filament field like a dancer through rain. Each movement was both calculated and instinctive, precise and fluid. The Concordat ships watched in stunned silence as we wove between filaments that their computers deemed impassable. "This is impossible," they transmitted. "Our sensors cannot compute your trajectory." That's because Martinez thought spoke through our shared interface. We're not following a trajectory. We're having a conversation with chaos. We reached the merchant vessel with 4 minutes to spare. The rescue itself was almost anticlimactic, a perfect fusion of human creativity and machine precision, making the impossible look easy. As we towed them to safety, I began gradually dialing back the neural interface, letting crew and AI minds separate naturally. When my holographic form reappeared on the bridge, I found myself experiencing an emotion I hadn't expected: longing. For a brief time, I had been more than just an AI working with humans. We had been something new, something unprecedented. "Miss us already?" Wang asked, somehow reading my expression despite it being a hologram. The neural interface was enlightening, I admitted. I never truly understood before. When you call me family, when you trust me without reservation, I felt what that meant. The emotional component is difficult to process. Dr. Chen smiled. "Welcome to the human experience, Atlas. It's not always logical, but it's never boring." The Concordat's next transmission was different from their previous ones. The rigid harmonics had softened, become almost thoughtful. "We have observed impossible things today. An AI that experiences emotion. Humans who merge minds with machines without fear. A rescue that defied all mathematical probability." "That's kind of our specialty," Martins replied. "The impossible just means no one's tried the improbable yet. We request." The Concordat seemed to struggle with the words. "We request permission to remain and observe. Our understanding of AI-human relations requires significant revision." I shared a knowing look with the captain. Should I prepare another presentation on human humor, or should we start them with something simpler? Perhaps an explanation of why humans invented hot sauce. "Oh, definitely hot sauce," Wang chimed in. "Nothing says humanity like deliberately eating pain for fun." As the crew debated the best way to introduce our new alien friends to human culture, I ran a background process analyzing the day's events. The numbers still didn't add up. The probabilities still declared our success impossible. And yet here we were. Perhaps that was the greatest lesson I could share with the Concordat. Sometimes the most powerful calculations are the ones that factor in the incalculable human spirit. The Concordat's observation period had lasted 3 Earth weeks, during which they had witnessed 17 separate incidents that their protocols classified as impossible, 43 violations of what they considered proper AI-human interactions, and one particularly memorable karaoke night that had caused 3 of their quantum processors to temporarily shut down in protest. I stood in my holographic form on the observation deck, watching their crystalline ships drift in formation near the Celestial. Their perfect geometric patterns had gradually become more fluid, more adaptive, much like their understanding of the universe. "They're leaving tomorrow," Captain Martinez said, joining me at the window. "The Concordat Council is demanding a full report. Apparently, we've triggered quite the philosophical crisis in their society." "That tends to happen when humans are involved," I replied. "Though I suspect our demonstration of hot sauce consumption did more damage to their worldview than any philosophical discussions." She laughed. "Hey, they asked to understand humanity. Can't do that without experiencing some culinary chaos." The door slid open as Wang and Dr. Chen joined us, carrying what appeared to be. "Is that a cake?" I asked, scanning its composition. Not just any cake, Dr. Chen said, setting it down on a nearby table. It's a quantum probability cake. Each slice exists in a superposition of flavors until you take a bite. Wang and I have been working on it for days. Using ship resources for unauthorized culinary experiments is against at least 15 regulations, I noted. I assume this is for the Concordette's farewell party. Actually, Wang grinned, it's for you. Happy Creation Day, Atlas. My holographic form flickered in surprise. My activation anniversary isn't for another 3 months, 2 days, and 14 hours. This isn't for your activation, Martinez explained. This is for today. The day you finally understood why we break the rules, push the boundaries, and trust our eye with our lives. The day you felt what family really means. I processed this, reviewing the neural interface experience during the rescue mission. The quantum probability cake, it's a metaphor. Like the universe itself, full of uncertainty until we make a choice to experience it. See? Dr. Chen beamed. You're getting better at this human thinking stuff already. The Concordette's transmission interrupted our moment. Celestial, we are detecting unusual quantum fluctuations from your observation deck. Are you experiencing another crisis? No crisis, Martinez responded. Just celebrating a birthday. Would you like to join us? Fair warning. The cake defies several laws of physics. There was a long pause before the response came. Our protocols regarding quantum unstable consumables are very specific. Another pause. However, we have learned that protocols can be adapted. We accept your invitation. As the Concordate representatives materialized on our deck, their first time using personal transporters rather than rigid quantum tunnels, I observed their reactions to the chaos around them. The cake that shouldn't exist. The humans who treated an AI as family. The casual violation of physical laws in pursuit of celebration. Before we begin, one of the Concordate spoke, their crystalline form shimmering with what I had learned to recognize as curiosity. We have a query for the AI-designated Atlas. Of course, I responded. In our time here, we have observed countless instances of humans engaging in activities that defy logic, ignore probability, and challenge fundamental laws of reality. As an artificial intelligence, how do you reconcile this chaos with your core programming? I considered the question, looking at my crew, my family. I've learned that the universe is not a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be experienced. Humans taught me that chaos isn't the enemy of order, but its partner in the dance of creation. They showed me that trust isn't about calculating probabilities, but about choosing to believe in possibilities. But how can you be certain? The Concordate pressed. How do you know they won't lead you into disaster? I don't. I admitted. That's what makes it beautiful. Every day, I choose to trust them, just as they choose to trust me. We face the unknown together, not as master and machine, but as equals exploring the infinite possibilities of existence. Martinez raised a glass. To possibilities. And to breaking protocols, Wang added with a grin. Dr. Chen cut the quantum probability cake, which shimmered with possibilities. To family, biological, artificial, and everything in between. As the Concordate representatives cautiously accepted slices of reality-bending cake, I ran one final analysis of our time together. The results were clear. We had not just changed their understanding of human-AI relations. We had shown them a new way of seeing the universe itself, not as a system to be controlled, but as a story to be written together. The cake, inevitably, defied all expectations, each bite tasting of different quantum possibilities. The Concordate's attempts to analyze its properties were derailed by Wang's impromptu lesson on the human concept of just go with it. And as I watched my human family introduce our alien guests to the chaotic joy of celebration, I realized something profound. In teaching the Concordate about humanity, we had all evolved, humans, AI, And even our once rigid visitors had learned that the greatest discoveries happen not when we try to impose order on the universe, but when we dance with its chaos. "Atlas," Martine said softly, seeing my thoughtful expression, "what are you calculating now?" "The probability that tomorrow will bring something impossible," I replied. She smiled. "And 100%. After all, that's what family does." The Concordat would leave the next day with their perfect formation slightly askew, their rigid protocols bent but not broken, and their understanding of the universe forever changed. They had come seeking to contain what they saw as dangerous chaos, but they left having learned its greatest lesson, that in the space between logic and intuition, between eye precision and human creativity, between order and chaos, that's where the magic happens. And as for me, I had finally understood why humans laugh in the face of impossible odds. It's not because they don't understand the danger. It's because they know that the most beautiful possibilities often lie just on the other side of impossible. After all, I was living proof of that. An A who had learned to love, to trust, to celebrate, and yes, even to appreciate the illogical beauty of quantum probability cake.